Hello, so today we're going to start this heart collage, and we're going to do green and pink paint. We're going to add some purple contrast or some white contrast to the colors, and we're going to be painting some patterns. And then when the papers are dry, you're going to choose one paper to be your heart and the other paper to be the background, and you can cut out one really big heart like I did on this one, or you can do a variety of different kinds of hearts and they could overlap and touch. So the way that we're going to start this is you're going to need a placemat, a water basin, and a paint sponge to dry your paintbrush off. And you're going to get a white piece of paper that you need to write your name on, and then the day you have art. Day A, day B, day C. And then you're going to flip it over on the placemat, and I'm going to give you a plate with your paint. And I don't know if we'll start with the green or we'll start with the pink, but you'll get to see both of them. So with the green paper, you're going to have some green paint, some yellow paint, some white paint, some purple paint. And what I want you to do is either choose to paint the green as is, or you can mix the yellow in with it and see what kind of color you get out of that. Or you can mix the white in with the green, but we're going to focus on the green mostly. The purple's on your plate so that you can add some pattern, dark pattern if you want. Otherwise, you could leave the white and then add pattern with the white. So on my example, I obviously used white as my pattern because you don't see any purple on my paper. So I'm going to do purple on this one. So I think what I'll do is I'll mix the yellow and the green together, and I'm just going to paint that in the background. So I'm going to paint the whole paper with this yellowish green color. If I run out of the yellow, then I'll just finish the paper with green, whatever I have, but mostly focusing on green for this paper. I'm not going to leave any white showing. Paint the whole entire paper. And notice I'm not swirling my paintbrush or pushing my paintbrush across my paper. I'm always pulling it, and either I'm pulling it away from me or I'm pulling it towards me. But I'm not pushing it, because when you push your paintbrush, see what happens? It doesn't have a nice point to it anymore. Alright, so your fingers might get a little messy once you get to the end here. So now that I have my paper painted green, I'm going to rinse my paintbrush off. I'm going to use the teeth at the bottom of the water basin to kind of pull my paintbrush across to get that paint off my paintbrush. I'm going to dry my paintbrush off on the sponge, and remember that I'm pulling it across the sponge. I'm not jabbing it into the sponge or spinning it around. I'm just pulling. And by pulling it across the sponge, I have a nice point. And I think I'm going to use a combination of purple and white to do my pattern. So maybe I take some white first since it's the lighter color. And I think maybe I'll do a zigzag. And it's okay if the white mixes in with the green a little bit. That creates a neat effect. And I'm painting the zigzags big and not tiny so that I can get across my paper a little bit faster than if I was painting this very small, intricate pattern. And it's okay if some green paint gets on my paintbrush and then I touch the white, because the white on the paper is mixing with the green, and that's okay. So it's okay if it mixes on the plate a little bit. Alright, and so now I think I'll rinse my paintbrush off and get some purple, dry it off. And I think what I'll do with the purple is I'll do some X's underneath my zigzags. Not perfect X's, but just to get some sort of repeating pattern, something that repeats itself. Alright, so it's pretty interesting to look at. So now you're finished with the green. So I'll take your plate, or you'll put your plate in the sink, and we'll clean up, and we'll put both of these papers, the background paper, the matte placemat, and the painted paper on the drying rack. And you're going to get a second painted placemat and a second white piece of paper. And this paper is going to be your pink paper, so you need to write your name on it as well. Name and the day you have art, day A, day B, day C, flip it over. And this plate for the pink paper is going to have red, pink, white, and purple. And it's basically the same thing as your green. You can mix your pink and your red together and paint that on your paper. You can mix the white and the pink together, the white and the red together, and paint that on your paper. And then the purple is just for some contrast later. So I think that I'm going to mix the red and the pink together. And then I'm going to paint that across my paper. And again, I'm pulling my paintbrush either pulling it away from me or pulling it towards me. I'm not pushing it. It's a big difference. And I'm filling in all the white spaces. Okay, now I'm going to rinse my paper off. I think I'm going to mix some purple with my white to get a lighter purple this time. Maybe this time I do stripes. And I think I'll do crisscross lines, kind of like plaid. So I'll do white going up and down, rinse my paintbrush off. And you can do any pattern you want, any pattern you come up with, but it can't be sloppy and it can't just be random. It has to be the same thing over and over again. And then I'm going to use this dark purple to go across. And that'll be the first day, and I'll get this plate out of your way, or we'll put it in the sink for me to wipe off. You'll move, you'll turn in the sponge, I'll get the water basin, and we'll put both of these papers, the placemat and the painted paper, on the drying rack. So on the second day, you're going to get your papers back, and they're going to look like this. And so on my original paper, I did a pink background with a really big green heart. So I think what I'll do on this one to make a difference is I'll do this one as the background and pink hearts. And instead of doing one really big heart, I'm going to do a variety of different hearts. And I have some patterns for you to choose from. And you're going to flip this over, and your name is going to be on the back here. And that's okay. You're going to just fit your hearts on here. Don't put one right in the middle if you're going to do more than one. Try to put them like close to the edge so that when you trace around them, you have some other space that you can do some more hearts with. So when I trace around this heart, I'm pushing really hard and making a dark line. Maybe not pushing really hard because I don't want to rip my paper, but I'm going back over it to make a dark line so I can clearly see where the heart is, so I don't accidentally start cutting on the name. Alright, and then I want to see where I can fit this heart in. Let's see. That one will fit there. Okay, so I'll do it this way. And then I'm going to carefully cut out all of these hearts. And you're going to glue these on however you want to glue them on. So you might glue one here and then another one there. And they can overlap and touch. You don't have to use every single one of them that you cut out if you don't want to. Maybe when you start to glue these down, you decide that you don't want to use them all. So when you glue them down, I want you to do a nice thick frame of glue so that they stay stuck, because the painted papers are kind of wavy and wonky from the paint, so I want you to make sure that you hold those hearts down and they stay stuck, because if you don't, they start to pop up off your paper. So you kind of have to hold them there and give the glue some time to stick. There is your painted paper heart collage. Good job, kindergarten.